Chapter 1 of The Wanderer, or Female Difficulties. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Wanderer, or Female Difficulties, by Fanny Burney. Chapter 1. During the dire reign of the terrific Robespierre, and in the dead of night, braving the cold, the darkness, and the damps of December, some English passengers, in a small vessel, were preparing to glide silently from the coast of France, when a voice of keen distress resounded from the shore, imploring, in the French language, pity and admission. The pilot quickened his arrangements for sailing. The passengers sought deeper concealment, but no answer was returned. "Oh, hear me!" cried the same voice. "For the love of heaven, hear me!" The pilot gruffly swore, and, repressing a young man who was rising, peremptorily ordered everyone to keep still, at the hazard of discovery and destruction. "Oh, listen to my prayers!" was called out by the same voice, with increased and even frightful energy. "Oh, leave me not to be massacred!" "Who's to pay for your safety?" muttered the pilot. "I will," cried the person whom he had already rebuffed. "I pledge myself for the cost and the consequence." "Be lured by no tricks," said an elderly man in English. "Put off immediately, pilot." The pilot was very ready to obey. The supplications from the land were now sharpened into cries of agony, and the young man, catching the pilot by the arm, said eagerly, "'Tis the voice of a woman. Where can be the danger? Take her in, pilot, at my demand and my charge." "Take her in at your peril, pilot," rejoined the elderly man. Rage had elevated his voice. The petitioner heard it, and screamed rather, for mercy. "Nay, since she is but a woman, and in distress, save her, pilot, in God's name," said an old sea officer. "A woman, a child, and a fallen enemy are three persons that every true Briton should scorn to misuse." The sea officer was looked upon as first in command. The young man, therefore, no longer opposed, separated himself from a young lady with whom he had been conversing, and, descending from the boat, gave his hand to the suppliant. There was just light enough to show him a female in the most ordinary attire, who was taking a whispering leave of a male companion, yet more meanly equipped. With trembling eagerness she sprang into the vessel, and sunk rather than sat upon a place that was next to the pilot, ejaculating fervent thanks, first to heaven and then to her assistant. The pilot now, in deep, hoarse accents, strictly enjoined that no one should speak or move till they were safely out at sea. All obeyed, and, with mingled hope and dread, insensible to the weather, and dauntless to the hazards of the sea, watchful though mute, and joyful though filled with anxiety, they set sail. In about half an hour the grumbling of the pilot, who was despotic master of the boat, was changed into loud and vociferous oaths. Alarmed, the passengers concluded that they were chased. They looked around, but to no purpose. The darkness impeded examination. They were happily, however, mistaken. The lungs of the pilot had merely recovered their usual play, and his humour its customary vent, from a belief that all pursuit would now be vain. This proved the signal to general liberty of speech, and the young lady already mentioned, addressing herself in a low voice to the gentleman who had aided the incognita, said, "I wonder what sort of a Dulcinea you have brought amongst us, though I really believe you are such a complete knight-errant that you would just as willingly find her a tawny Hottentot as a fair Circassian. She affords us, however, a vivifying food of conjecture, the only nourishment of which I never sicken. I am glad, therefore, that 'tis dark, for discovery is almost always disappointment." "She seems to be at prayers." "At prayers? She's a nun, then, depend upon it. Make her tell us the history of her convent." "Why, what's all this, woman?" said the pilot, in French. "Are you afraid of being drowned?"
Sample complete. Ready to continue?